I want to say good morning to everybody. I hope y'all having a blessed morning. Happy hump day. I'm going to do something a little different. No, I was covering the Eligio Bishop case. And justice was served. And like I said, I'm going to let you hear the verdict. And then I'm going to go to some of the members that speak out.
Is this invention going to put eye doctors out of business? These self-adjustable glasses are taking the world by storm. They let you achieve a crystal clear vision at any distance.
Minutes because someone on the case had been diagnosed with COVID earlier in the week. Fox News' Tyler Fingert has been in the courtroom every day. He's live at the DeKalb County Courthouse tonight with the latest. Tyler?
Hey, Russ, good evening to you. The jury just began deliberating Eligio Bishop's fate. He's on trial for rape, and it comes after an eventful day where we saw one of his witnesses get thrown out of the courtroom. Prosecutors and Eligio Bishop's defense attorney had their final chance to sway the jury Thursday afternoon in the rape trial of an alleged cult leader.
And if he forced her to consent because he's threatening her or she knows what's going to happen, that is not consent.
He did not rape her. He's not guilty of that. He did not falsely imprison her. I'm asking to find him not guilty of that. He did not post her the porn.
The closing arguments came just hours after the trial was briefly interrupted as testimony from a member of Bishop's group, Carbon Nation, went off the rails. The judge repeatedly told the witness to watch what he said.
Also, Mr.
There's one of the members.
You know what? He just lost his right to stay in the courtroom.
Prosecutors say Bishop raped a former group member as she tried to escape and then posted revenge porn online. During the trial, the alleged victim talked about the group's online presence, but defense witnesses said everything they did online was for views. One of the ways prosecutors say they did that is to slap each other. A member of the group testified that idea came from the Will Smith-Chris Rock incident, but prosecutors pointed out it happened after the alleged rape.
And you realize the Chris Rock slap was March 27th, 2022, right? I'm not aware of that. So it was after this incident occurred.
Bishop wasn't in the courtroom for any testimony Thursday. Instead, he watched from jail after someone tied to the case tested positive for COVID earlier this week.
My client is standing on his objection as far as going forward with the trial. He is concerned for his health.
I want him here. Everybody else is here. Everybody else is fine.
And those jury deliberations are underway right now. As soon as there's a verdict, we'll let you know. We're live in DeKalb County tonight. Tyler Fingert.
It would have simultaneous.
And venue just means that we try crime for that.
Okay. Any other witnesses for the defense?
No, Your Honor, the defense for
The statements. This is the end of the end. All the arguments have been said. Everything has been put in. There was several people who testified on Nature Boy's behalf. There was Aya testified. Efru testified. Some lady who said that she let the victim of the case go to her home testified. Jax testified. Juju testified. So all the people have already testified. Prosecution and the defense have rested their case. They are now set for closing argument.
Group.
Can you guys not hear me? Somebody said no sound. Can you guys hear me? Press 1 if you can hear me. Because on my computer, it shows that my mic is moving. So can y'all hear me? Can y'all not hear me? Let me know something. Let me know what's going on. Let me check. Let me do a mic check. 1 2 1 2. This shows for me that okay, y'all can hear me. Okay, cool. All right, so this is the last of it. After they do closing arguments, the next thing that we are going to hear is a verdict. So that is the very next thing that we are going to hear. Now, if I think that the name of the victim is about to come up, I will try to mute my audio and then return the audio back. If there's anything that gets caught while I'm on stream by accident, then I will redact it after it gets posted, after we're done. So someone in the comments says, who did the defense bring on? So the defense brought on Eferu, Aya, they brought on Jax, Juju, and they brought on some call me now for your free reading lady who testified via Zoom. And I don't think it helped his case at all. You can clearly tell that they were lying. They were not telling the truth. They just looked like they were under some type of haze and just, following orders and commands. I'm going to have everybody's testimony in full on my live. So Skin Beauty Products, you don't need to announce what you're listening to. I literally just said that closing arguments is happening right now. Go listen to where you're listening to it. We starting at the top, okay? So anyways, let me see. Hold on, let me pull up my chat here so that I can moderate and get people up out of here that need to go up out of here, because we don't need the announcements. Like, this is a stream that we're on, okay? Like, we don't need the announcements. We're about to get into closing, okay? So, and I just explained all that. So anybody else feeling like they need to make announcements, you will be booted. This is your only warning, because you're here. If you're there, be there. If you're here, be here. Which one? Which one? You said, I wonder why his queen didn't testify. She didn't testify because clearly the whole time they talked about how he put his hands on her, how he beat her, how there's evidence of her running around and causing a scene, trying to escape. All of those things I'm sure they were going to impeach her with. She was the main one that they had a lot of evidence against as far as her health, being in the hospital, all kind of things. Like, she had it the worst, so it would not have been wise for them to put her on the stand. But let's go into closing arguments and let's hear it.
There you go. All right. And you still need to rest in front of the jury. Oh, motions. Are there going to be any motions on behalf of the defense?
Judge, we were just renewed the previously stated motion that we made in the defense case. Additionally, we would like to make sure that we renew any prior objections that we made.
Okay. Motions will remain denied. There's sufficient evidence for the case to go to the jury. So let's bring the jurors in, and I'll let you rest in front of the jury, and then we'll proceed with closing. State gets to open and conclude. And please, hopefully, you guys will both take 2 hours.
She said, hopefully y'all don't take all day. Okay, hopefully y'all get this done in a timely fashion and don't take all day. Yeah, I have a premiere going as well right now before I decided to just go live with this because, I've been following the rules all day, but I said, well, shit, this is the end. Is that we at closing, everybody breaking the rules any goddamn way. So to hell with it. Pretty Lauren say no new MFers. I say no new friends, no new friends. Let's get them up out of there. All right, and let's get our chat going. People that we used to seeing up over here and all of that. Why is this? Okay, so hold on. Let me skip it ahead. Yes, I have a testimony that's playing right now. before I decided to go live. And then just like I did all the rest of the coverage, I'm going to put everything up when I get a chance to. The only thing that I did not wait for is because I'm like, well, this is closing arguments. This is the last argument. So other than that, everything has been in accordance with the court. Yeah, what do y'all think the verdict will be? Hold on, let me skip this ahead.
I've told every single one of my family and friends to sign up for this new 2024 no-cost dental.
Skip this ahead. Let me speed up because I'm a little behind on the stream. Okay, they're standing up. The jury is coming in, looks like.
Any other evidence or witnesses for defense?
No, Your Honor, to finish with it.
All right. Is there going to be any rebuttal evidence from the state?
No.
All right. The evidence in the case is closed. So the next step is the closing argument, followed by the jury charge and beginning your deliberations. So we're going to push through as long as y'all can handle it. There's a little feedback coming. We're not quite sure what's going on with the sound. We're going to get IT in here to take a look at that. But go ahead, Mr. Cody, you get to open and conclude.
My job. This is it.
For you. Well, why didn't they claim this? The judge was going to give you some instructions on.
And then it just means that we try crime for that.
Okay, they're standing up. The jury is coming in, looks like.
Okay. Any other evidence or witnesses for defense?
No, Your Honor, to finish with it.
All right. Is there going to be any rebuttal evidence from the state?
No.
All right. The evidence in the case is closed. So the next step is the closing argument, followed by the jury charge and beginning your deliberations. So we're going to push through as long as y'all can handle it. There's a little feedback coming. We're not quite sure what's going on with the sound. We're going to get IT in here to take a look at that. But go ahead, Mr. Cody, you get to open and conclude the arguments.
Thank you, Your Honor. There's a line in the courtroom somewhere around that plexiglass wall. And the folks on that side, for the most part, the world out there is interested in this case because the defendant's a cult leader. It's interesting, it's different. It's a reason that there's a camera in here, that folks are paying attention. But inside this line, in this part of the courtroom, it's what the defendant did with that power that matters. That's why he's on trial. His ideas aren't on trial. The fact that he's a cult leader is not why he's on trial. It's how he used, exploited, and abused his members. Specifically how he raped Janae Newell on March 24th, 2022. That's the reason we're here. As Judge Hydrick said, the state has the opportunity to address you both first and last. And that is because we have the burden of proof in this case. And I'm going to use the first half of the closing.
Yeah, we're on closing arguments, guys.
In this case, now sit down. First half's not going to be that long. Mr. Boger will get an opportunity to address you. And then we'll get back up again and explain how we think the facts you've heard this week fit into the law. One element of the law that Judge Hydrick will go over with you is that the testimony of a single witness, if you believe that person, is enough to establish a fact. And that means prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. If you believe what somebody said from that witness stand, that's enough under the law. The law doesn't require corroboration. The law doesn't require scientific evidence, another witness to come in. The judge will say a single witness, if you believe them, is enough to establish a fact. So if you believe Janae, if you believe what she told you, it's no. Now we have a lot of other corroborating, supporting evidence in this case. We have a lot of other people who experienced similar things who have told you what they experienced this week. But under the law, if you believe Janae, that's enough. Now, that as a concept, it's sort of this abstract concept, but let's put it in practice for a minute. Another law, the judge will tell you, another thing, is that venue has to be proven by the state, like any other element of the crime. And venue just means that we try crimes where they happen. Did this happen and they can't happen? And that's a fact that must be proved by the state. But this week, the state, we didn't bring in the tax assessor for DeKalb County to get out a big chart and map and say, Arbor Chase is in DeKalb County. We simply had witnesses testify, was that home in DeKalb County? Yes. Where was that home? It was in DeKalb County. That's enough. So again, Janae's testimony by itself is enough. Count one of the indictment charges the defendant with rape. Rape is carnal knowledge of a female forcibly and against her will. And so let's break down each of those three elements. Carnal knowledge of a female forcibly and against her will. Carnal knowledge means sexual intercourse. Okay? In this case, there's not even really a dispute whether sexual intercourse occurred. It was the other elements, right? Forcibly, and the judge will tell you, the law is that lack of resistance obtained through fear or intimidation is force. Scaring somebody into having sex, not allowing them to leave in that moment, that's rape. That's force. That satisfies that force element of rape. So in intimidation, and nowhere will it say that intimidation has to be explicit and verbal and yelling. It can be known from living in that environment for that period of time and knowing what happens, from observing what happens to other people when they say no.
Change is inevitable, and it isn't always easy.
Known from living in that environment for that period of time and knowing what happens, from observing what happens to other people when they say no. Fear of bodily harm, violence, or other consequences. In other words, in Georgia, you don't have to fight back for the defendant to be guilty of rape. You don't have to start a physical altercation and put your safety even more on the line in order for that person, the abuser, to be guilty of rape.
His closing is not that strong, man.
And against your will or lack of consent. The Uber was waiting, she was leaving, she had made up her mind, and she testified at least 4 different times during the course of this trial that she did not want to have sex with the defendant. And that this is one of, if not the most important things the judge will tell you when she gives you this charge. I quoted it verbatim. If the victim submitted to sexual intercourse only because of fear or intimidation, then sexual intercourse occurred without her consent. In Georgia, you can't bully somebody into sex and be innocent. I pause here because this doesn't necessarily mesh up with sort of our societal or what we've grown up or what is just sort of the concept of rape. We think of the stranger in the woods coming out. We think of awful stories we hear on the news of these stranger on stranger crimes and just horrible experiences that people have lived through and suffered. But that is rape. That is not the only kind of rape. If the victim submitted to sexual intercourse, if Janae submitted to sexual intercourse with this defendant only because of fear or intimidation, then that sexual intercourse.
They should have allowed the other woman to do closing. The woman to do closing.
Shout out to Nick at Night.
So again, carnal knowledge, having sex forcibly, for intimidation, substitutes for force. You don't have to fight back in Georgia for it to be rape, and against her will. You can't bully somebody into having sex with you and be innocent. What's not required, obviously physical injury. There doesn't need to be a fight again. There doesn't need to be an immediate outcry. That's not a requirement the law imposes.
Out of all the closing arguments, this is just the worst I've seen.
You have folks that come, years down the road and say something happened. That doesn't mean that case cannot be proven. Eyewitnesses. These crimes generally don't happen in front of eyewitnesses. If for no other reason, generally people do not have sex in front of other people, but certainly not non-consensual forced sex. You believe the defendant raped Janae Newell, then find him.
Somebody said he's reciting facts. That's not that is not what I'm talking about. Like, you can state facts and be like convincing, stern. You can be like, you can have conviction. Like, I watched the YNW Melly trial, and even though I thought the attorney for YNW Melly, the white older guy, I thought he was like, I'm like, boy, who believe in that? But it kept your attention. He was telling you law. He was telling you facts on what he believed. He was telling you those things, and it was captivating, and it made you pay attention. This, even sometimes when I'm multitasking, like I'm doing other things at the same time, like I can still, like, it'll keep my attention. Like this, I'm like, oh, wait, I'm listening to closing arguments. His delivery is not strong. But yes, I will play it. But don't. I'm just kidding.
Guilty. Half one.
Let me bring it back a little bit.
Whoa. And one day,
folks on that side, for the most part, the world out there is interested.
Oh wait, did I bring it back too far?
Because the Uber was waiting, she was leaving, she'd made up her mind. She testified at least 4 different times during the course of this trial that she did not want to have sex with the defendant. And that this is one of, if not the most important things the judge will tell you when she gives you this charge. I quoted it verbatim. If the victim submitted to sexual intercourse only because of fear or intimidation, then the sexual intercourse occurred without her consent. In Georgia, you can't bully somebody into sex and be innocent. I pause here because this doesn't necessarily mesh up with sort of our societal or what we've grown up or what is just sort of the concept of rape. We think of the stranger in the woods coming out. We think of the awful stories we hear on the news of these stranger on stranger crimes and just horrible experiences that people have lived through and suffered, but that is rape. That is not the only kind of rape. If the victim submitted to sexual intercourse, if Janae submitted to sexual intercourse with this defendant only because of fear or intimidation, then that sexual intercourse occurred without her consent, and this element is met. So again, carnal knowledge, having sex forcibly, for intimidation, substitutes for force. You don't have to fight back in Georgia for it to be rape, and against your will. You can't bully somebody into having sex with you and be innocent. What's not required, obviously physical injury. There doesn't need to be a fight again. There doesn't need to be an immediate outcry. That's not a requirement the law imposes. There's no need legally for a DNA test. I mean, you have folks that come years down the road and say something happened, that doesn't mean that case cannot be proven. Eyewitnesses, these crimes generally don't happen in front of eyewitnesses. If for no other reason, generally people do not have sex in front of other people, but it's certainly not non-consensual forced sex. You believe the defendant raped Janae Newell, then find him guilty. Count 1. Rape. False imprisonment is charged in count 2. I think it's not as straightforward or commonsensical of a charge than some crimes that we prosecute, but false imprisonment, the elements of that crime, the judge will tell you, are in violation of the liberty of another person, confining or detaining that person, and without legal authority. So we'll again take those one by one. Violation of the liberty of another person. The defendant wouldn't allow Janae to leave. And I want to pause here again for a second. In charging and proving false imprisonment in this case on these facts, what you've heard the last 2 weeks, the state is not alleging in the abstract that she was never allowed to leave the house. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying that she wasn't allowed to leave. We're saying in that moment, once she went up to that bedroom, he physically took hold of her and would not allow her to leave, even though she said, "No, I have to leave," so many times she couldn't remember how many times. That's the moment of the false imprisonment. It's not this abstract idea that, well, she was so attached to the group, she wouldn't be allowed to leave. It was, no, we are charging in that moment, in the room, she was not allowed to leave. And false imprisonment, there's no time element to it. The judge is even going to tell you if you find that she's held for 30 seconds, or a minute, or 5 minutes, or 30 minutes, or an hour. There's no minimum amount of time. Because the injury is the violation to their liberty. People are allowed to come and go where they want within the house they're living in. And he can't just hold her in the room because he wants that opportunity to convince her, or bully her, or badger her into getting what he wants. She had every right to leave. If she wanted to go upstairs and say goodbye and then walk right back down the stairs and leave, she can. But he didn't let her. Confines or detains that person. Again, he would not allow her to leave. That's the detaining. In this case, not allowing movement, not allowing her to exit that room. Remember the testimony that he closed the door. Kendra said they went into that room, the door closed. Janae said he closed the door, he was between me and the door. He was holding her. He would not allow her to leave. And without legal authority, So that applies more to like police officers. Obviously, they have legal authority to detain folks if there's probable cause that they committed a crime. Also, sometimes you get like the shoplifting situation where an employee of like Target sees someone taking something and they may have, under certain circumstances, legal authority to detain somebody. But there's nothing like that in this case. So if you believe the defendant, Eligio Bishop, would not let Janae leave the room that night, find him guilty of count 2, false imprisonment. I'm going to call counts 3 through 5 the revenge porn statute. That's what it is. On the indictment, it's listed by this long name, prohibition on nude or sexually explicit electronic transmissions. It criminalizes the posting of revenge porn, so we'll call it revenge porn. It has a lot of elements, so follow along. Knowing the content of the transmission, so you know what you're posting, and we'll go through them again one by one. Without the consent of the depicted persons, the person shown in the video.
That's the prosecutor, Mr. Cummins, Mr. Cummins.
Depicting sexually explicit conduct of an adult. No kids involved in this case since they're having sex in the videos. The transmission is harassment. And it serves no legitimate purpose. Again, we'll take these one by one. Knowing the content of the transmission, again, there's no suggestion that anyone was unaware of what was in these. These were sex videos and they were uploaded. Without the consent of the depicted person. All right, the moment that matters is the moment it's posted online. All 3 of the videos that were body camera videos showing the Twitter video, I'm sure that you all remember having to watch those. They were all 3 posted on March 27th. Janae was not in the group or in any sort of contact with Mr. Bishop on March 27th. She did not give her, she testified over and over again, she did not give her consent for those videos to be posted on March 27th. If she consented to it being filmed. Even if someone, take it outside of this case for a second, even if someone sends an intimate photograph of themselves to a loved one, to a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, they end up, that relationship doesn't work out for whatever reason, but that person to whom that photograph was sent decides to post that photograph online. The question isn't, did the person who sent it consent back when they sent it originally, right? The question is, did that person, the supposed victim in that case, consent to ex-boyfriend uploading it to the internet? That's where the harm is. That's where the consent goes. It doesn't matter that she consented to that sex being filmed originally. What matters is she didn't consent to being harassed by it and having folks be like, hey, did you go back to the group? Because I saw that you and Eligio are back doing whatever. That's where the harassment comes in. Because now there's this confusion and there's just the humiliation and embarrassment that both Janae and Velvet had to describe of having that out there. I don't really even think there's much dispute here. There was not consent. There's really no hint of consent for these photo videos to be posted on March 27th, which is the date they were posted. Electronically causes the video to be posted or transmitted. It was uploaded and shared on Twitter. It's an electronic message board, technically a website. It's an electronic means of transmitting something to other people, and causes, we have pretty much all of the members, did anything get posted on Mr. Bishop's account without him having caused it? And the answer was unanimous. No, he was in charge of that. Maybe Loyal and some other folks had, access and helped him out with his social media stuff, But he was the driving force. Nothing got posted without it having been caused by him. The video is obviously depicted as sexually explicit conduct of an adult. I think also the harassment isn't really an issue. Obviously, she was harassed and there's really no other purpose. These videos could have been posted, especially up for just 3 days after she left. You heard all this testimonies. So there's no legitimate purpose. This is an exception for like if there's medical, diagrams or teaching instruments, things of that nature that need to be shared for one reason or another. There's some legitimate purpose for this images that otherwise may be sexual images. Yeah, this wasn't just science events. Alright, so on the counts 2 through 5, there's 3 different counts because there's 3 different videos. There are technically 4 posts, but 2 of them were the same videos, which are 3 different videos. They're separated in the indictment by their length. So 56 seconds, 28 seconds, and 80 seconds, that's what separates count 3 from count 4, count 4 from count 5. There are 3 separate charges because there is a separate harm, there's a separate injury each time, there's a separate humiliation each time somebody posts a separate video. Do you believe the defendant caused the posting of these sex videos of Janae without her consent and with the purpose to harass her, then find him guilty, counts 3 through 5, the revenge point. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for the first part. Mr. Booker will address you now.
Thank you.
And then if I got
Yep, you sure can. Go ahead and plug in.
So far, I mean, I feel like Booker gonna do a better closing than that. He got a demonstrative, he got a little,
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're here to decide the case of the state of Georgia versus Eligio Bishop. Eligio Bishop, we started this case a few days ago, last week sometimes, and we're here finally at the conclusion of the case. And so just like across this courthouse, across this city, there are jurors sitting to decide issues, whether it's an issue regarding a fence line, or whether it's about probate, or whether it was a car accident. Your job in this case is to determine whether the state wins or whether Mr. Bishop wins. And it's an important, bless you, it's an important decision for you to make. That's why when you come in the courtroom, we stand up. Because despite the fact that Judge Hydra is a Superior Court judge, and these are 2 very fine, smart lawyers here, we stand up because you are the most powerful people in this courthouse. Your decision impacts people that are in this county and in this city. And so we're going to ask, as you go back to deliberate and you consider this case, that you use your power and wield your power appropriately. Now, last week, we were here, you guys were out there, you were in a big group of folks, and you heard the judge read an indictment. And in that indictment, the very first charge was the charge of rape. And so I do this for a living. I'm a defense attorney, okay? I sit over there with people and I look up at the people that are there to the side. And the question that happens in my mind is, what exactly are they thinking when they hear the word rape or murder or something significant like that? Because many times we've already made decisions about people.
That's the defense team right there. They were defense lawyer right there.
You already started from behind. And that's why when we asked if you felt like you could be fair and impartial in the case, you felt like you would be able to look at the evidence and not make it a decision just based on the fact that there was a camera in here and that he was charged with this charge. And so the state questioned you, I question you, and we believe that you guys were the best group out of the people that were here. You were the best, that you would be fair and impartial, that you would listen to all the evidence, that you wouldn't make a decision before all the evidence was closed. And so that's why you're here on the jury, because we didn't believe you were going to go on a witch hunt, that you were going to make a decision just because Mr. Bishop was charged with the charge of rape. And I put rape up there because obviously it's the most significant of the charges that we have here. Now, in a case, there's a couple types of evidence. There's direct and circumstantial evidence. The judge was going to give you some instructions on the law, but direct and circumstantial evidence, there's two types. There's direct evidence, means that you have proof of something tangible right in front of you. And then there's circumstantial evidence. She will explain the difference in both of the two. Now, there's no legal difference in which of them you can have a conviction on direct evidence or on circumstantial evidence, but I would argue that this is a circumstantial evidence case. Now, the judge is also going to tell you, though, that for a circumstantial evidence case, the state must exclude every other reasonable theory other than guilt of the defendant. That means that the state has a burden not only to prove the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, but they must exclude every other reasonable theory of innocence. And I'm questioning for you is, has the state in this case proven or that every other reasonable theory of innocence is not true? They have not. They have not. Now, credibility of witnesses, I'm going to skip through because the state gets up. They're the government. They can get up and start. I jump in the middle, and then they get to come back and tell you how I'm wrong. And so I only have so much time, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on every single piece of it, because the credibility of witnesses section, you're going to get from the judge. Okay, but you can consider credibility of witnesses. And what I like to use for credibility of witnesses is I have two children, Hannah and Justin. They're my children. 16 and 10, they're most important. If you show up at my house and you say, well, you're going to be the caregiver of my children, okay, and you tell me one day that I did this is my background experience, and then the next day you say, you come in and you tell me something different, you're not keeping my kids, because I can't trust what you say. Trusting what you say means you tell me something on Monday, when you come back on Tuesday, it's the same thing. And so I'm asking, when you look at the credibility that you have been given from that witness stand, it's not what I said, it's not what the state said, it's not what the judge said. The credibility comes from the witnesses. Have you been satisfied that Ms. Newell, as she got up there, that you're satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that you can trust what she's saying? That's what you have to determine. Now, presumed innocent. Defendant is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So simple, not a complicated thing. I'll use the same example I had when I was in law school. Professor comes in on the first day of school of the class, criminal law 101. I am scared to death. There's 150 other students in here. 149 of them are way smarter than I am, and they should be there, and I shouldn't. That's exactly what I'm sitting there saying. And the professor goes up front, and I'm praying to God, please don't let him ask me anything. But he gets up there and he says, ladies and gentlemen, this is a presumption of innocence. He's wearing a jacket. And he simply just makes this really weird argument, but it's actually true. Person comes in, they're presumed innocent. It's the scope of innocence. Until the state has the proof to remove this entire jacket all the way out the person, they remain innocent until the state has proven them guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Mr. Bishop is still wearing a jacket. The state has not removed the jacket. When you look at this case and you go in the back, Mr. Bishop is still wearing his jacket because the state has not met their burden. They are the government. They're the ones who had access to these phones. They're the one who had access to all hundreds of thousands of videos. When you look at the evidence in this case, when you consider the evidence in this case, this is what we have as far as evidence. We have a case that's a rape case where these people were online every single day for years. Don't you think that if people were online every single day for years, they're on social media, they're on YouTube, they're on Facebook, and there's not one picture, not one single picture of a woman with a physical injury, not one video of somebody being slapped, but they're telling it because they want you to believe. They're giving it to you. You are the deciders in this case. If they got it, why don't they show it to you? Because they don't have it. It doesn't exist. They want you, he gets up here and tells you, oh, it's not because he's in the cult. They're so interested because it's not because he's in the cult. He's in the cult. The entire case has been about anything other than March 24, 2022. We've had 3 other girls come in here and tell us that he supposedly raped them because they don't want you to look at the case. They want you to look at other things. Look at other things because if you look at those other things and you don't like them, you're going to convict them. That's the whole objective.
Good closing.
Now, he's presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. That's the state's burden. No person shall be convicted of any crime unless and until every element of the crime is proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and the burden rests upon the state to prove every material allegation. And I'll go through the same way they did, because I have to cover the argument and the law, but I'll go through the elements. But long story short, they have to prove the elements of rape. That's what they have to prove. They have
Good
to prove
closing so far.
False imprisonment. They have to prove the elements of revenge porn, and we'll go through that. Now, before I was an attorney, this is my 14th year as an attorney. I was a school teacher for 7 years. I have a bachelor's and master's in education from the University of Florida. And so when I was a teacher, I loved it. It was great. But there would be afternoons at 2 o'clock when you got a bunch of fourth graders standing in front of you when they county. You didn't know why you did it, but you loved it. They were very special children, nothing more unique and more powerful than kids in my mind. But one of the things I would ask the kids at the first beginning of school is, what's the most important ingredient in chocolate cake? I bet you don't know what the most important ingredient in chocolate cake is. It's chocolate. You can't have chocolate cake without chocolate. Unfortunately, kids will spend a lot of time bubbling around and say, cake mix, whatever. In this case, there is no important ingredient. The state must prove every single element of rape to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And again, the burden of proof is on the state. It never switches to us. It's not on Mr. Bishop. Okay? It's not on Mr. Booker. It's on the state. They brought this case. They charged it. Please don't lighten their burden. They must prove that he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And the judge will tell you that after considering if your minds are wavering and unsettled, then that is a doubt of the law. Use your common sense in this case and acquit Mr. Bishop. Now, prior statements, the judge is also going to read you instruction about prior statements. So if a person is given a prior statement and they give a different statement later, you can consider that for purposes of credibility of a witness. Now, jumping to the point, Janae Newell, she says she's at the house on March 24th and March 25th, 2022. That's what she told me. That's uncontroverted. She says that she meets with the DeKalb officer Hugh, I believe. I keep getting how to pronounce his name. And she also does an interview with the T. You've heard a lot about the T. I'm sure the T is going to be super popular after this. They're actually in the courtroom today. She meets with the detectives. She's interviewed in Fayetteville. They go out there. She gets pregnant months later about this guy, Courtney Townsend. And then she's interviewed by the DA's office here in this year, in February. And then she gives you testimony in court. And so I want to run through those real quick. So the first one is the first prior recorded statement of Janae Newell with this officer. She called police and she told police that this was revenge porn. This again goes back to credibility. It goes back to credibility. The first thing she told them was, hey, there was revenge porn that happened to me. This was on March 30th, 2022. She never said anything about it. Okay? Never said that. And in that interview that was recorded on body camera by the investigator, by the police officer, the state has not played that one single time. What is in that interview that you don't need to see? Why is that not played? Again, it's not Mr. Booker's burden to play any of the investigators for you. Why haven't they played it? When they get up here to close, and Ms. Thomas gets up, ask her why. Why hasn't the state played that evidence for you? The 20 minutes, because he was up here, the witness was up here, they could have put it in for him. Why didn't they play it? Again, it's sometimes evidence and sometimes it's lack of evidence. But the first statement that she gave was that she'd been a victim of revenge porn. She described Mr. Bishop as her boyfriend. And she was interviewed on body cam. Doesn't describe rape, doesn't describe fighting, doesn't describe false imprisonment, none of those things. It does she describe. Second time,
your income is below $15,060 as an individual in 2024, you're technically below the federal poverty line.
I can't talk to anybody for $6. I love my wife. We go to Florida, visit my mom sometimes. She lives in Dallas. It's 5.5 hours to get there. We don't drive this extra, it takes way too long. But we get there.
If your income is below $15,060 as an individual in 2024, you're technically below the federal poverty line.
But they talk for 6 hours about Mr. Bishop. None of that's played though, and when I'm trying to introduce it in there, obviously they don't want you guys to hear it. But she indicated in court that she was being truthful in this interview. That's what she said. Now what she also told you was, well, I was still under the influence. In 2022, I was trying to protect him. That's what I was told. You can't be one of them, okay? Or you have to take one of them. But think about this. If she was trying to protect him in 2022, and then she was still under the influence of the cult. Why is it in 2024, when the DA's office interviews her and she's preparing for this trial, why in the world does she say to them that he said to me, can we do it one last time? And what her response was, okay. That's what she told them. Ask them why they haven't told you that. Because would she still be under the influence in 2024? I wouldn't think so. Because she wasn't.
He is on fire.
She describes in detail what happened on March 24th. She doesn't describe her rape. She doesn't describe being fearful of being falsely imprisoned or any of those things. Again, this is still the interview. These are some of the statements she made. Baba G, how you pronounce that, which was Eligio, would have never treated me this way. You bitches are jealous. Excuse my language, mama. But that's what she said.
Excuse my language, mama.
She looked Eligio in the eyes, and me being dumb, I got manipulated back in. I couldn't resist him in that moment. Not that he beat me or I was scared that some woman was going to do something to me. That wasn't said. Never was said. I was really vulnerable. And he knew exactly what to say to make
You're doing a damn good closing.
Those are her words.
They better pull it in with the girl.
But maybe she was under the influence. That's what the state wants you to believe, that she was under the influence of Mr. Bishop. It was so powerful. I wanted Dick in that moment. That's so crass to say, but I'm sorry. I wanted Dick in that moment, but I was stupid, and what I really needed was love. Uncontroverted, that's what she said. If she didn't say it, the state would have put it in and said, hey, do you remember Mr. Booker asked you this? Did you really say it? No, I didn't say it. But they haven't shown you that. And is that how somebody describes when they're being raped? No, it's not. More on the TV interview. I didn't want to resist him. Letting him manipulate me, I'm a sucker for fucking love. I felt like he was faking to just keep me. Why in the world would he be faking? You're faking being with somebody again, you're raping that person? Doesn't make any sense. Then she gives an interview with the detectives. They played Mr. Bishop's interview for you. Well, why didn't they play Ms. Buell's video for you? Why didn't they play that for you? What did she say to the detective? The same detective dealt with it. She interviewed with them too. That's because she describes making love throughout the interview. She never uses the word rape. It's not until 20-something minutes into the interview that he asked her, or maybe, would she really want to do it? It's not a discussion about rape. The detective
definitely on fire.
But the detective who was even there was even called as a witness. They had two detectives, a male and a female. But they were the female. And you can tell how prepared she was. She didn't even know what she'd done as far as an investigation. Did you see when you ask a simple question? Well, did you get this text message from such and such? Wouldn't you expect that people who are police officers, when they're making life-altering decisions for people in this case, in this state, in this county, they are responsible for it. They're making life-altering decisions, life-altering investigations that they can't even remember when you pick up the text messages. These emails here that she had, that she's emailing with the T, that she wouldn't know that the messages came from the T. Oh, I got it from Kelly Johnson's phone. Oh no, I got it from the Terry's phone. No, you didn't. And you're up here under oath. Wouldn't you be more prepared to know what you did and what you didn't? I mean, it's a life-altering decision from Mr. Bishop. And despite whether you like Mr. Bishop or not, okay, because honestly, there's apparently people that don't. And I really don't care if you like him. I don't have to like him. None of us have to like him. It doesn't matter. This is about the law and whether or not the state has proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a character assassination, ultimately, but that's not what you're here to decide. Trial preparation, meeting with the DA's office this year. Now, this one, surely she's going to use the word rape. She has to. I mean, of course, she's not going to come in here and not use the word rape. She's not going to say that, avoid it here, because then she's going to be in front of the whole world. She's in front of you guys. She's called all that to happen. She's not going to say something different here. But in trial preparation, one last time and okay. Really? One last time? Okay. I don't think so. That's not rape. And nothing with them about force. Hey, I said okay because I knew he was going to beat the crap out of me if I didn't have sex. I had seen him beat up a bunch of women because they didn't have sex with him. That's not what she said. That's not the evidence in the case. That's what the state wants you to think, but they produce zero evidence of it. Please Be from Missouri. Be from the show me state. Make them show you evidence. Don't just go back there and be okie doke because they told you, or because you don't like Mr. Bishop, or because the camera's here. Make them show you evidence. So, what actually happened? There was a disagreement in the group between the girls. You heard that. She described that she went upstairs at least twice. You don't really even get to compare her statements, all because you don't have her statements and evidence. You don't really know what you heard preacher said other than what I got to ask her because we didn't play it for you. And they didn't want to play it for you. But consider all that. This is what she ultimately said. She went upstairs at least twice. When she went upstairs the first time, Malia, who's the queen, told her to go downstairs. Because that's really what this case is really about anyway. And she admitted, hey, I want to be the queen. I want to be the queen. Too many women. My mom used to tell me that my middle name is Lamar. Lamar, you have one girlfriend. My dad would say the same thing. One girlfriend. It is hard enough to keep one woman, and I mean this in the nicest way, satisfied. I've been married to my white boy from Jamaica. Been married to her for 24 years. She is a wonderful woman. But I can tell you, I couldn't have even another half. I have 2 other people in the house that are women too. A 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 6-year-old. It's hard enough for me when there's enough estrogen in the house with me that sometimes I need to go sit on the back. Because it's just all too much. It's too much drama. I go here, oh, here comes somebody, I go there. It's so much drama. This dude has all these women around me he's having sex with. There's going to be some problems. But she admitted on the stand that she wanted to be the queen because she can show them how it's done. She can do it better than Malia. There was a pageant. The lady told her to say, hey, there was some sort of pageant. And that Ms. Newell said, Elijah said that she could be queen. So this further upset her, and she ultimately goes outside. She wants to be the queen. They say, hey, Baba G, God, whatever the world they call him, hey, he wants you to come back inside, and she does. Isn't that what you do, that you go outside when you're trying to get away from somebody? You know, in the movies, when you go this weekend, you talk about the case, and the case is finally over. Okay, and you're watching a scary movie. Okay, some scary movie you watching on Amazon or whatever. And the girl goes to the door. She's running through the woods. The bad dude, you know, is running behind her. Do you think she's gonna stop? Because she's seen this before. He's coming with a chainsaw. He's got a mask on, or whatever it may be. He's scared. Okay, is she gonna stop and call an Uber? Hey Uber, can you please come pick me up? Because I'm scared to death this dude is gonna do. It's not like I can just walk out and leave if I'm so scared.
No,
it's not like I can leave.
What's called fixed too.
Because would you wait for an Uber if you are afraid of somebody? I wouldn't. And what I wouldn't do, I wouldn't wait for an Uber, but what I also wouldn't do is get all the way outside to the Uber and say, oh, I'm going to go back inside. And go all the way back upstairs. I wouldn't do that because I'd be too scared. Because I've seen a whole history of violence. That's what they told you. It's been a whole history of violence. So, but no, I'm outside, I got my bag packed, I can get the heck away from this dude. But oh yeah, let me go back inside and say goodbye. It's fine. I'm just go back inside and say goodbye because it's all good. That's usually common sense, ladies and gentlemen. She wants to be with him. It's evidence, which is also uncontroverted. The state is putting in nothing to show that this phone call right here, that there is no prior phone calls to. State's Exhibit 2, that you heard from Ms. Eva Wilson, that she called Eligio Bishop after March 24th, 2022. Said, hey, Mr. Bishop, she wants to be with you again. She wants you to get in contact with her. This is uncontroverted. If it wasn't his phone number, don't you think these really good and really smart lawyers would have told you, hey, that's not Mr. Bishop's phone number? But they didn't tell you that. That's because this lady contacted her. She has no reason to come in here and lie. She's here on Zoom because she came here the other day and we couldn't finish. But she has no reason to lie. She don't know Bishop. She don't know this lady that well. She knows because she came and stayed in her house. But if she had a bone to pick with her, why would she allow her to stay in her house, read tarot cards, whatever that stuff is to her, and then come in here and lie against her? She doesn't have a motive. The state hasn't proven she has a motive.
She definitely has.
She's lied. That's uncontroverted that lady called Bishop on behalf of Ms. Newell. If somebody raped you, why in the world would you be calling them? Why would you call them and say, hey, I want to be with you again? Now, the text messages. The detectives already said that these text messages came from a certain location that we know is not true. Not going to spend a lot of time on that. Text messages came from the T. Okay, you heard that the T doesn't receive a lie, Mr. Bishop. How did the T even get the text messages? Why would they have the text messages? That I don't know. It wasn't until I was sitting at home one day and I decided, let me look at these text messages again. And I looked at the very top, and I remember the young lady saying, that it was a long time between messages. But these say 11:51, 11:51, 11:51, 11:52, 11:53. That's not a long time. That's like 2 minutes. And I thought, well, how could that be? And then I looked at the time here, and that's like 12:58 a.m. That didn't make any sense. So somebody must have taken pictures of the text messages, and they sent it to the T. And then I started looking, and I said, that seems odd. Why would the T have text messages? And here's an email chain between the detective that testified and the T. Hey, by the way, here's some text messages from the T for Mr. Bishop. You can get him. It proves your case. Oh, by the way, here's some videos from the T. It proves your case. Please consider all that. Why didn't Kelly Johnson just tell the truth that she gave the text message? I mean, is that credibility? Is that an issue? What else was in their phone? I mean, was there more messages in the phone? We'll never know. The state never showed it. We don't have that. The detective interviewed Janae again. Did they really go out? 2 detectives go all the way out to Fayetteville because they believed that this was just revenge porn? Because that's all she had reported at this point was revenge porn. She hadn't said anything about race. The 2 detectives leave here in DeKalb County, go out to Fayetteville. They were there for what they believed was more. They were after Eligio Bishop. And so at that point, he suggested to her that, hey, maybe he raped you. But you'll never get to hear that because we can't play that for you. Now, they did a search warrant at the residence. They searched 11 devices. What did those 11 devices show? You know from me asking the detective that there were hundreds of thousands of photos and videos. You know that the subpoena power of the court, that these lawyers right here, who are very, very good lawyers, who work for an extremely good district attorney's office. This is one of the best prosecuting offices in the entire state, not just the city. That they know how to get videos from YouTube, videos from Instagram, evidence off these phones. If there was a single video that existed, they would have got it and showed it to you. Where is it at? Ask her when she gets up, because she's about to get up in a minute, and she's going to say, Mr. Booker, he told you a lot of wrong things. I'm going to correct. And I respect it. She's a very good lawyer. I've known her for a long time. She's going to do her job. But I'm not wrong, because they don't have it over there in that pile of evidence. It is not for you to consider. Why is it not for you to consider? We don't know what the devices show. They did a search warrant for physical evidence in the house, and the detective said that she told the crime scene folks what to check for and what not. And then Ms. Thomas got there and said, well, you know, you'd expect his DNA to be on the bed. Okay, great. But I mean, if there was a rape took place or there was some physical evidence, why didn't they even check it? We got the GBI crime lab to determine if something like that happened. They didn't do that. Mr. Bishop's interview, he invited the police to go through his phone. He gave them the code to his phone. He described why she would be upset. You don't have any evidence that contradicts what he said. The phone that they had, they didn't even look at it. He gave them the passcode to all 11 devices. I thought there was something bad in there. Where do you have it? I generally am not giving people the ability to check my phone. I'm going to have something bad, or I don't want people looking through everything I got. He was very concerned that they were going to set him up. There were 10 people in the house. Why didn't they search and interview those people? You've heard from some of them today. And they tried to contradict, oh, this is the first time you've ever told anybody about this. You know, look at you, young lady. You've never told anybody about this. But the fact is, nobody's ever asked. They never called him and said, hey, by the way, what was your position on this? The police have never interviewed him. So Ms. Wade and Ms. Buckner were neither were interviewed. Who was in fact interviewed? Because they said they interviewed 4 people. Who was the 4 people that interviewed? Where's the evidence at? The detective said we interviewed 2 guys and 2 girls. Where's it at? Who was it? We don't know. What did they learn from it? I don't know. I mentioned you should be from Missouri. I know we're all Georgians. I was originally born in Mississippi. I lived in Florida for a few years. Never got the pleasure of living in Missouri, but I love when I see that plate. the show me state. There's a bunch of stories of what that really means. I won't waste your time on what that show me state means. But for me, I need you to not be from Georgia today. I need you to be from, unless you like football team. Missouri's football team kind of sucks, but they're pretty good this year. But be from the show me state. Make them show you the evidence. Make them prove it. They haven't proved it to you though. Make them prove the evidence. Now, we have the allegations of revenge porn. I'm almost done. There were 3 porn videos shown. What dates were these videos posted? And were they posted and taken down? If you recall, Ms. Newell said that she consented to them being posted at a given time. These videos were posted, reposted, taken down, I don't know, but have they shown it to you? I'm not the smartest person in the world, but typically if I had porn from my wife, which we don't, but if I did, on my phone and I posted it in social media, wouldn't it be on my phone? Wouldn't it be among those 11 devices that they say, oops, Mr. Bishop, we got you. Here it is on your phone that you just gave us a passcode to. It shows that you posted it to Twitter on this given day, that you infected, because it was your device, you had it. They didn't do that. Or did they get a search warrant from Twitter to say, hey, Twitter, what MAC address, what IP address, what location? Because this really good lawyer here, he talked about something called venue. Venue means that it happened within the county of DeKalb. So let's assume you do believe that Mr. Bishop posted revenge porn. Well, what evidence do you have that he was within the county of DeKalb when he did it? How do you know, if he did it, that he wasn't just making a loop around 285, going to see all these girls or to do all this fake ideology he's got? Because some people say he's fake. And he posted it in Cobb County. Well, we don't have evidence of where it was posted. How about it could have been in Gwinnett County? We still don't have evidence because venue is the area where it actually happened.
Hello, Tamika. Good morning. How you doing? I hope you're having a blessed morning. I'm playing the trial, the closing trial of Eligio Bishop.
What county? Because Twitter would have.
And they did find him guilty on all 5 counts.
Now, allegations of physical violence.
Who you listen to now is the defendant.
If there was evidence
defendant lawyer,
that would have shown it to you. They told you that she was beat up.
Then they're gonna go back to
body slam. I mean, could you imagine being in a park with 15 people around
the prosecutor on the last one?
That nobody ever noticed it. That these people, they were live on social media every single day, and the state did not go and get that evidence and say, see, here's the girl with the black eye. Here's the girl with the busted
this the girl
lip.
that
busted nose.
That got our word and got her image put on the internet again. She got her pictures put on the internet that she didn't consent to.
There were no physical findings at the crime scene. They just want you to assume she said he raped me. He says he doesn't. You go with her because we have an expert that came in, Rick Ross, who tells you, well, he's in a cult and all those things.
That's an expert he talking about.
There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of people that's really interested in this case because he's a cult leader. Okay? He's a cult leader, and that's what it is. But we were worried about this. Well, if that was the case, why y'all call Rick Ross to the stand? What was the purpose of calling him? I mean, to me, he came to talk about cults. So if it really wasn't about that, then why'd y'all call him as a witness? I think you should ask her that when she gets up here. Why would you call Rick Ross as a witness if it's just about what happened on that day? Because it's not about just what happened on that day. The state wants you to look at everything else other than March 24th, 2022. When I got up here and opened the statements, I asked you to look at that date and focus on that date. It has been so hard to sit over there and listen to everything other than March 24th, 2022. But that's all you have to decide. That's all you have to consider in this case.
It happened March 24th.
All right.
Last year.
There's no blood. There's no semen.
What, 2 years ago?
There's sheets, bedspreads, video evidence of physical abuse, photo evidence of it, phone messaging, threatening violence, hundreds of thousands of videos. Again, that stuff just doesn't exist. State wants you to look at other things. They want you to look at Breonna Jacobs. Breonna Jacobs said, hey, he sodomized me. There was blood. But did you notice that Velvet Marquez did not tell the same story, and no other women have said anything about that at all. State doesn't want you to look at March 24, 2022. Kendra Carter, what supported her testimony? Velvet Marquez. It's so crazy they come in and say, we couldn't even use the bathroom. And we've studied this guy for all this time. But we couldn't use the bathroom. I mean, that's not really the right thing to say because you could use the bathroom. You the one chose to go to Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, or whatever and go use the bathroom outside. That's your choice. And then you come in here because you just want to throw them under the bus. Oh, we can't use the bathroom outside. Oh, we couldn't even leave. You couldn't leave, but your dad comes down there and visits you 3 times in 1 year, and you left frequently. Don't look at March 24th. Portia Wade was one of the 2 young ladies here. She's known him for 6 years. She's never seen any physical violence perpetrated by him. She said that the crazy behavior online was for the wow factor. She was in the room when Bishop and Newell came in. Newell came in first, so that he wasn't pulling her in. They asked to be alone, and she spoke to Newell afterwards in the bathroom. Kayla Butler was the other young lady here. That's the one that you saw a picture of her and her mother here. She also has known the defendant for 6 years. Obviously, she had pictures with her mom, so her mom was around. She's never seen physical violence perpetrated. She was even friends with Miss Newell. Tell me what you can find in her testimony that was not believable. She described the specifics of Bishop and Newell being affectionate at the top of the stairs. She fell in his arms. She cried. Miss Newell describes the same thing in her interview, that she cried in his arms. And that she got the impression that Newell just wanted some attention, and she got that. That she's like, ooh, girl, when she saw her afterwards. I can't do it quite as good as she did, but that's what she said. And she told Newell that Bishop would never treat me like this when they were fighting over a cell phone charger. So Rick Ross was the expert. He's the guy who got up here, and I'm not trying to minimize a high school diploma because I told you I was born in Mississippi. I come from a father who was in the United States Army.
Shout out to Mississippi.
He never had his high school diploma. He got his GED in Army. So he came from,
shout out to Georgia too. Atlanta, Georgia. Well, is it Atlanta, Georgia? DeKalb, Georgia.
They had to pick cotton. That's something they did in Mississippi, raise crops. So to minimize Mr. Ross as an expert because he has a high school diploma and no further education, I'm not saying that he's not intelligent because my dad is the most intelligent person that I've known, and he had no high school diploma. He got a GED. But Mr. Rick Ross is here to be an expert for you. And I know many of you guys are extremely bright, having high degrees and very extensive jobs. Think about what power he had as an expert, what he actually told you that was irrelevant. Because if they didn't make him about a poll, why was he even up there? Wheel of Power.
I'm going to look over this morning because I want to get this closing argument together out the way.
Witness impeached, the judge will explain what that means, but Janae Newell has given multiple statements. That's called witness impeached. And ask the state to play those statements for you. See what she recalls. All right. What's most valuable to you? Your family, your home, your health, money. When you consider this case, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Eligio Bishop is guilty in this case. Well, for this case, what's most important to me is Eligio Bishop. He is the most important thing in this because he is my responsibility in this case. My job is to zealously defend. You think of the judge with 2 arms. The defendant's job is to zealously defend. That's my job. I'm an officer of the court. So Judge Hyder is a wonderful and brilliant judge. I'm a right arm or a left arm, whichever one she wants me to be. And these 2 lawyers, they're on the other side. Their job is to seek justice. My job is to zealously defend. So if I've said something during the trial that you don't like, I apologize. I'm doing my job. That's my obligation to my client. Okay? So don't hold it against my client if I argue too vehemently with a witness or you didn't like something I said. Please consider the case based on the evidence, not how you feel about me.
He got a long win, Mr. Mika. He got a long win.
Would you tie your health, your money,
his area is long.
Most important to you. Will you tie it to the evidence in this case? I would. Mr. Bishop is your most valuable asset in this case. What you're not to decide this case on is sympathy for Janae Newell, sympathy for Eligio Bishop. It has nothing to do with sympathy and not anything about Eligio Bishop and his teachings. Okay? Not about Elijio Bishop's teaching. The state will tell you that. It's not about that. Even though that seems so intertwined in this case, we can't get away from it. This is what you already considered on, and just to look at a couple of them, conflicts in the testimonial evidence, missing or questionable evidence, use your common sense and reasoning, medical reports we don't have, there's no science in this case, use the testimonial evidence that you have. Things upon it, I'm almost done. If the defendant was such a physical threat, what evidence of there does that exist? And if there are allegations by Janine Newell of him being physically violent, there would have been some evidence before now. Wade testified that she posted a video with her and the others in for sex education. That's for you to consider. Did she testify that Bishop had her to do this? No, she didn't. And if the state had video of Mr. Bishop somehow making these witnesses testify in some way as they tried to solicit from them.
See, the point is, I understand that he defended, but when none of us there where they was, and
this text message I think is a really telling text message. This is the one that says, if
he wasn't there, we wasn't there.
They're not going to take me. We know that.
But way the defendant act up in court,
when I asked her who was there,
I believe in my heart that he did it.
Come up with an answer for what that they pronoun meant for her. I don't know, but I couldn't imagine that I'm in a house where I've been a victim of physical abuse, violent abuse.
One of the members couldn't testify because it was all on her. She got beat the baddest.
The same folks I'm so afraid of.
But if she had a guy on that stand and said that he ain't do nothing, she would have been purging herself.
That doesn't make sense. Look at those text messages. Now, in Walmart, I worked in Walmart for a while, really cool place, Home Depot too. There's a big customer service place at the front. And if you go to Walmart and you buy a hamburger you don't like, you buy some shoes you don't like, you buy some bacon you don't like, you can always take it back. Okay, because there's somebody there that will take back things that you don't want. Okay, we don't have anybody to correct if you make a mistake in this case. That's why I'm asking you, when you deliberate, that you deliberate in a way that you consider each other's position, but you deliberate in this case seriously. Because every night, tomorrow night, Friday night, Dateline comes on, 2020 comes on Sunday. There's always a person who's been there. That this criminal case that they had that been in jail for 20 years, and all of a sudden they realize, maybe that person lied, or maybe there's some DNA that's just.
He already been locked up for 2 years already.
There's nobody that's going to come
DeKalb County.
If you are wrong, this is not Walmart. That's why you guys have the most important role in the court.
But he been starting his coke for, well, this is 7 years. He got caught on the 7 year, but 6 years he was doing that to the members.
Because in this world, it is so easy so often that we go and do what everybody else says to do. We don't stand up as an individual and say, hey, I don't agree with you. Everybody else, because if everybody else says Mr. Bishop is a cult, if everybody else says he's a wacko, he must be crazy. So as a result, we must find him guilty. Society wants us to find him guilty. We're just going to do their job for them. Please don't do that. He's already explained what rape means. That's what the judge is going to explain. Carnal knowledge, female forcefully against the will. Against the will means without her consent. 2022 to 2024, she's given the exact same description every single time, that they made love. There's two ends of a continuum. There is love making at one end of the continuum, and way down on the other end of the world. And the Bible says, it says, as far as the east is from the west, that our sins are forgiven. That's what the Bible says. And I would say that this is extremely far. The east is from the west. I can't imagine how far that is. But love making to rape, they're not on the same line. But she described love making from 2022 to 2024. It's not until she came here in court that she said that he raped her. He did not rape her. He's not guilty of that. He did not falsely imprison her. I'm asking you to find him not guilty of that. He did not post revenge porn. I'm asking you to find him not guilty of that. I'm asking that his beliefs not be on trial. I believe in a holy God. Mr. Bishop is not God. God created the heaven and the earth that we're here on right now. He ain't got nothing. Mr. Bishop has nothing to do with that. Now, their beliefs that we're all God, that's all on belief. That's not what's on trial. What's on trial is whether on March 24, 2022, whether he raped this lady or not. And I'm asking as you go in the back and as you consider each other, that you consider that. Now, you guys are probably, you're very bright people. I know you're tired of listening to them, sit down. Mr. Bishop's not over there. Why is he not over there? Well, 2 days ago we came here and the court had tested positive for COVID. Mr. Bishop was concerned about his well-being and about getting COVID. And so he elected to not be present here in court because he was concerned about getting COVID. We are all
the judge had COVID, and she came back on Monday. Well, Wednesday, and she came back on Friday. It was Wednesday. She had COVID. She came back Friday. Well, the C word. My bad. I'm sorry, you too.
Yet there's no evidence of that. That
she had the C word.
Scenario where he intimidated her.
On
never said
Wednesday. She came back Friday.
About being intimidated into sex. There's been no witnesses that came forward to that. Please, as you consider the evidence, please balance all those things. I say this, and I'm going to go to that. As an attorney, it's extraordinarily difficult to get an argument from people, especially me. I'm an introvert. If it wasn't for the fact of me being here in this courtroom, you would never see me. Because I'm the kind of person who goes into a room who doesn't know. But I have to get up here and argue a case in front of people that I have no idea what you're thinking. I have no idea what you're doing. But I owe an obligation to Eligio Bishop. I owe an obligation to the court to get up and argue a case. And it makes it really challenging to go sit down because I know once I sit down, I never get to say anything else to you. But I want to tell you on behalf of Mr. Bishop, on behalf
again, this is the closing argument, and then the jury going to decide the fate of him.
I appreciate the opportunity I've had to practice in front of you guys. I appreciate the consideration in the case. And I ask that when you go on the back, and that you consider this case, that you return a verdict of not guilty on behalf of each and every count. Be from Missouri.
He got 5 counts.
I'm not a woman.
Eligio Bishop got 5 counts.
To be in a position where you can be raped. I can never understand that. But what I do understand here is that you are given a responsibility and a role here in DeKalb County.
Who you hear now is Booker. That's his last name, Mr. Booker. Booker.
Whether or not the state is proving this case.
That's the defense attorney.
Is there a reasonable
The prosecutor name is Mr. Cummings.
That Mr. Eligio Bishop is not guilty? Has the state proven that beyond a reasonable doubt? And that's when you go in the back and you decide.
Hello, April Shower Network. Welcome. Welcome. We're talking about a case. Eligio Bishop. He ran a cult. Now he done got arrested for it. He been doing it for 6 years. If he wouldn't have got caught, this would have been 7 years.
Thank you. You need to be connected back to the.
Well done, well done. That was a
and really, shout out to Anika at night.
Argument, very good.
Now we're gonna have the. Now you're gonna have the attorney, the woman attorney, prosecutor. It was the man at first, the beginning. Now it's the woman gonna end
don't mind me, y'all.
This case is not about winning.
All right, she already started off with a couple words better than the other guy. So I'm in the background. I'm over here working on my uncle's obituary. So I'm listening, but I'm working and watching or listening at the same time. So I'm making an obituary. I'm listening. I'm working, double working. Okay, double working. But she already is a better presenter.
Well, we're gonna
skip
this.
She only said 4 words.
Gonna let
not about the state winning. It's not about Mr. Bishop winning. This case is about doing what is right. This case is about getting justice for Miss Newell. Now,
that's
Mr.
one of the
Booker
court, used to be court member, ex-court member.
Ask Ms. Thomas this, ask Ms. Thomas that. Why didn't we play the body cam? Mr. Booker knows the rules of evidence. They say if a witness gives an inconsistent statement, you can play the prior statement. You know why that prior statement wasn't played? Because it wasn't inconsistent. She testified, yes, I said lovemaking. Yes, I said I wanted the deed. Yes, I said that. So that is the answer to your question. Mr. Booker is very skilled. He knows the rules of evidence. He knows what evidence is allowed. If that evidence was inconsistent or contradicted something Ms. Newell said, you would have heard it. It did not. So he started talking about reasonable doubt, or he left off talking about reasonable doubt. The judge will instruct you that reasonable doubt is the doubt of a fair-minded, impartial juror honestly seeking the truth. That's your job. You're truth seekers. You decide what happened March 24th, 2022. If you have a doubt, it must be based on common sense and reason. It's not a vague doubt. It's not an arbitrary doubt. It's also a doubt as to the elements of the offenses. So Mr. Coveney already went over the elements of rape, false imprisonment, the revenge porn. So if you have a doubt in your mind, it's got to be based on an element. It's got to be related to an element. So it's not a doubt as to, well, when did Brianna join the cult? That really doesn't matter. It's a doubt as to the elements. So keep that in mind when you're thinking if you have reasonable doubt or not. So I like to give examples. I know reasonable doubt can be a difficult concept to grasp. So let's say my job was much more pleasant than it is, and I have to convince you that this image on the screen is a dollar bill. Now, there are pieces missing. In this case, there's no video of rape. Obviously, rapists don't record themselves sexually assaulting someone. There are pieces missing. I recognize that. No case is perfect. But if you look at this picture, you look at it based on your common sense, life experiences, you know that's a dollar bill. Just like in our case, you take a step back, you look at the picture as a whole, and context matters. That's why we presented, I think, 11 witnesses. Context matters. You look at the picture as a whole, you know what happened March 24th, 2022. So it seems like ages ago now that we picked you all, I believe it was last Wednesday, the 21st, and many of you had life experiences, or you knew someone who suffered a traumatic sexual assault. And all of you said, even though I carry that life experience with me, I can still be impartial. We went through hours of questioning you all. And every single one of you said, yes, I can be impartial. And if you sit here now and you feel like, and you believe Mr. Bishop is guilty, you have to ask yourself, what got you there?
Violation of CGA 16-6-1A for the said accused person in the county of DeKalb, state of Georgia, on or about the 24th day of March 2020.
It was us versus them mentality. The police aren't going to help you. It's the white man versus us. They're not going to help you. That's why she didn't go to the police. She doesn't think they can help her. He's conditioned them to think the outside world is Babylon. They're hell. They can't help you. Why would she run for law enforcement? And when she reported the statement to Officer Hugh,
I don't know what happened just now. Let me bring it back some.
same thing with Miss Wade. She has got loyalty that I've never seen. To take this witness stand and lie and say, yeah, I'm the one that posted it. Admitting to a crime in a courtroom full of people.
How can you admit to a crime
in front of the media?
In front of the police, in front of the people, in front of everybody that you don't want to put it out there.
Because when I move it just a little bit, it goes too far ahead. Hold on, let me bring it back some. It just be jumping too far ahead when I do this. Hold on.
So the fact that we didn't come in and play 1,000 YouTube videos or show photographs is of no consequence. As I mentioned, most rapists don't video record.
Back more?
Of course Mr. Bishop wasn't going to do that.
Oh, no. This is it. This is right. She said they don't record it.
No physical evidence.
Yeah, we're on point.
If there was DNA or semen on Mr. Bishop's bed, would that have really given you any indication? No, because there's no dispute as to whether or not intercourse occurred. We know that. What you have to decide, was it forceful?
We should be on point now.
So I'm not going to talk about the current members. I suppose they're in the hallway. But all of them justified.
Somebody said, take us to what's happening right now, right live. No, we're not that far behind. We.
Abuse. Everything bad about Mr. Bishop, oh, that was just an act. Oh, we were just doing that for clout. That's a lie. He did it. And it wasn't for clout. It wasn't to act. It wasn't to get the people to watch. That's how he felt. Let me slap you to get you in line. Juliano Diaz. I asked him on cross, have you ever seen Mr. Bishop slap somebody? Oh, no, never. No, he's never been physically violent. That was a lie. He is a liar. That's a lie. Because I specifically asked him, there's a video, Mr. Diaz, with you, Mr. Bishop, and another individual named Loyal. Oh, yeah. And in that video, Mr. Bishop slapped Loyal. Then he remembered, then there was an explanation. Same thing with Miss Wade. She has got loyalty that I've never seen. To take this witness stand and
perjure herself
and say, yeah, I'm the one that posted it. Admitting to a crime in a courtroom full of people, in front of deputies, in front of the media, that's a lie. Mr. Bishop posted it. But imagine that loyalty to come in here, take the stand and say, yeah, I'm the one that posted it. I submit to you, she didn't. But if she did, Mr. Bishop told her to do it. And then this lie about what we do.
This is what you call mind regulating. He regulated all their mind.
And we really like that.
He gave them that Kool-Aid. He gave them that Kool-Aid. Mr. Mick, you know what I'm talking about when you give the special Kool-Aid. That's what he gave them, the special Kool-Aid.
Go ahead, girl.
Miss Wade.
I knew she would do better.
Buckner. You didn't hear from Aaliyah. But Miss Wade and Miss Buckner all told you, or both told you, that they talked to Mr. Bishop over 80 times since last week. We are, 8 days from when we started? Over 80 times. You can only imagine the conversations they had. I believe Miss Wade admitted, yeah, we talked about the trial. He tells me what people are saying. We discussed what Janae said. You think he didn't influence her testimony? Of course he did. Janae's story. They're having a party at the house. She's too friendly with Fauna. She decides, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to take myself. I'm going to go home. She's starting to get her bags. Maybe Giuliano's helping her get her bags. She goes to the Uber. Zoka, Efru, someone calls her back. God is calling. Why don't you answer the call? Come on back. She goes in that house. And Mr. Booker talked a lot about what he wouldn't do. I wouldn't do that. He's not Janae. It doesn't matter what he would or wouldn't do in a situation. Oh, well, I wouldn't have done that. You know that exactly. Well, I wouldn't have done what she did. Don't.
You say yes to me, yes.
This is about Janae. She goes up the steps, and Amanda Planchard, the domestic violence expert, told you that there's still feelings of attraction between the abuser and the victim. And we'll get to her testimony. But she goes up the steps.
Ain't no three people gone. Understand and say that he did this to them. Why would they come to court and lie of what he did to them?
No, obviously did not.
Not only the alleged victim
raped her.
It was two
She told
more.
you that her body
The
began
baby
to-
mama, her
He
pictures
believes,
got
how dare you have
put
a
out on the
breakdown?
internet too.
I don't. So he flips her
It's
over
another girl, her name
and
Brianna.
penetrates her from behind.
Her,
She told you in that
her
moment,
behind got torn.
but he kept going until he ejaculated. She told you she lost
Her
count
behind
how
was
many
bleeding,
times
she said.
She said no. All it takes is one time. One time.
It take but one time to say no.
Why didn't you report immediately? Remember, she told you that part of this group was us versus them mentality. The police aren't going to help you. It's the white man versus us. They're not going to help you. That's why she didn't go to the police. She doesn't think they can help her. He's conditioned them to think the outside world is Babylon. They're hell. They can't help you. Why would she run for law enforcement? And when she reported the statement to Officer Hugh that there was revenge porn, they were outside in the parking lot. Can you blame her for not reporting a rape? They're outside in a parking lot. And she's still trying to process what has happened to her. She doesn't really know what happened to her. Even when she did the interview with the T, she told you, I still felt some sense of loyalty to him. I'm still trying to protect him. I believe that was maybe a week after this happened. She still felt like she had to defend him. Now, why you should believe Janae, and we'll get to some reasons why, but think about how humiliating it was for her to take that stand and watch those videos. I can't think of anything more embarrassing. I watched y'all's faces. Some of y'all didn't even.
When they showing them video what he did to him, they play it in the court. That is embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
That you don't have in the back. Sometimes the CDs you won't have because there's nothing to play back there. But if there's something
I think was left up in his coat now.
But on those videos
is
a defendant's Twitter page, and it's the date on the actual video.
3, 4, 5, 6. The seventh one is locked up. She locked up. She's still locked up. But it's like 7 or 8 of them now. Like
Ms. Newell knew that when this case went to trial,
like 5 of them, it was about 15 of them, like about 5 of them left.
His supporters,
well, more than 5 left. It was like, because there ain't but about like 7 or 8 of them left, and they still
by coming in here and lying on Mr. Bishop.
Defending
Nothing.
Eligio Bishop.
So let's talk about context. In this case, context is huge. Context matters. What Janae thought would happen to her, what Janae believed, it matters in this case. You all have heard all the rules they had about eating, about sleeping, using the bathroom, relationships. Mr. Bishop determined who was going to be together. There was really no clear rule. It was just, well, today I want y'all together, tomorrow I don't. Social media. We know he was the only one that controlled the social media. Every single witness, former cult member, testified. He controlled social media. Aaron Dixon told you that. Courtney Townsend told you that. All 4 of the girls told you that. He's the one that controls social media.
Them the witness that she just called out.
All of them, all the former members saw physical abuse. And the defendant would say, well, that's just discipline. Every single one of them, Kendra Carter, Brianna Jacobs, Janae Newell, Velvet Marquez, Aaron Dixon, Courtney Townsend. When Mr. Coveney would ask, what would happen if you said no? They were like almost shocked, like, that was just not an option. Like, they couldn't even believe he asked them that. We couldn't say no to him. All of them were emotionally dependent on them. And even Juliano Diaz, and I can't remember about Mr. Bright, but certainly all of them were going through something in their lives at the moments that they found Mr. Bishop. They were emotionally dependent on him. They were searching for spirituality and searching for themselves. They believed he was God. Mr. Diaz, to this day, believes that Mr. Bishop is the Messiah. We've already talked about this, but some of the former members, Courtney Townsend, he would describe when you tried to leave, it was hell on wheels. He knew things got crazy when it was time to leave. People would get physically abused. People snuck out in the middle of the night. Aaron Dixon, he told you that the women in the group didn't have their own mind. So this thought from Miss Wade or Miss Buckner that, oh, women were equal, that's simply not true. Women didn't have their own mind. And remember when Mr. Coveney asked, because they moved around so much, I think it's kind of hard to keep track. Hawaii, Las Vegas, California, Georgia. But when Mr. Coveney said, well, what was the main criteria when y'all would find places to live? You remember what Aaron Dixon said? Isolation. And as much as Caleb Buckner didn't want to say it, isolation. In the jungle, in the woods, away from society. Other victims, Kendra Carter, Breonna Jacobs, and Velvet Marquez. And we didn't bring them in here just to say, oh, well,
when they
did it to them, we did it to Janae. But context matters. It shows
is this Nature Boy? Yes, Miss April. Nature Boy. His real name, Eligio Bishop.
He thinks he can control women, but I'm asking you to prove him wrong. Kendra Carter was 23 when she joined the group.
He had a lot. He been
that you couldn't say no to Mr. Bishop.
Hawaii, him been to
there was physical violence.
Mexico, him been all over trying to
Kendra Carter
trying to, do his thing.
I think they were in the bathroom, but
beside in the United States.
Perform oral sex. She told you she.
So he decided to go back to Georgia.
Was not an option. Breonna Jacobs, a little bit younger. She was 19 years old when she joined the group.
So Miss April, so you know about Nature Boy.
None of them were working. They got donations from social media. And the defendant laid her down in the bathroom.
Have you been watching him for the 6 years, Miss April?
Something really stuck out when Breonna testified. She still couldn't talk about it. Mr. Coveney said, what happened? It happened. She still could not say what it was. He literally had to walk her through and say, okay.
Yep, that's who it is, Nature Boy.
He put his penis in my hand. She still, years later, cannot describe what that act was. So much so that she tore, she was bleeding. Other women had to help her.
Yeah, her name Breonna, she got torn in her buttocks.
Asked her, did you say no? And she said, I shut down. I froze. I couldn't say anything. Consistent with what Amanda Plancher said. Fight, flight, freeze. Breonna couldn't say anything. But even if she did, would it have mattered? No, not to Mr. Bishop. Even if she did say no, even if she did scream, it wouldn't have mattered. Bella Marquez was 20 years old when she.
That's his wife.
She said that the physical abuse started when she was pregnant carrying his child. And again.
Well, they ain't married no more. She got a divorce from him.
Knowing that the video of her giving Mr. Bishop oral sex would be on display on a huge monitor behind me with the news here, with Mr. Bishop here, with a courtroom full of people. She gains nothing but humiliation. Mr. Rick Allen Ross, we brought him in here to give you context because honestly, this whole thing defies logic. I watched y'all's reactions at some point, and I can see the wheel spinning because it took me some time to, how do people get here? How? Because it defies logic. But there were three qualities
they were looking for a religion. This how it started about. They were looking for a religion, and they thinking that maybe they could change,
coercive persuasion.
Growing their own food.
Freeze them, you change them, you freeze
No.
them, make you believe.
Living in.
Does harm. Mr. Bishop fits every single one of these. Mr. Ross told
living in a place where you could grow your own food and all that.
Thought they were serving a higher purpose. They thought they were doing this in the name of the group, in the name of Mr. Bishop. So they had to learn, or he forced them to learn, to be selfless. Don't think of yourself, think of the group. They all thought they were serving a higher purpose. Mr. Ross talked about, I think I asked him, why do people stay in these groups that are harmful? And he said there's just exit costs. I think Mr. Dixon showed some of that, some regret, some embarrassment. Like, how did I let myself actually believe this guy is God? Some guilt. Those things weigh on you. They stick with you. Even Kendra. Do you remember when she testified that when Janae was packing?
That's another victim.
She was one of the ones hitting her, like corralling her. Get your stuff. Come on, come on. You know, you're weak. You're going to your lower self. You imagine how hard that was for Kendra? But there's exit costs. There's feelings of regret and disappointment of leaving. And again, group loyalty, they all want to defend Mr. Bishop. Amanda Blanchard, who testified as an expert in the field of domestic violence, said that most victims don't leave at the first sign of abuse. So it doesn't matter what Mr. Booker would have done. It doesn't matter. A lot of you know someone who's been in an abusive relationship. Y'all know it takes time. Ms. Blanchard told you that most times victims in these types of relationships.
After she talk, I'm gonna get off, and then I'm gonna come back later on, and with the verdict.
Severe acts of physical or sexual abuse occur when the victim refuses to be dominated. In that moment, in that bedroom on Arbor Chase, Janae had enough. And in that moment, she refused to be dominated. And what happened? The most severe act of sexual abuse, rape. She talked about fight, flight, or freeze. And as Mr. Colby said, we don't have to prove there was some physical struggle. Mr. Booker asked every witness, what did you hear? Screaming and yelling? That's not required for rape. All rape is not stranger danger, dark alley, let me fight back, let me rip your clothes. Fight, flight, or freeze. And if he forced her to consent because he's threatening her or she knows what's going to happen, that is not consent. And when she says, I just said, okay, acquiescence because of fear, because of intimidation, not consent. Janae's life has been just completely upended by this trial. She is the source of so much online drama. So I think she even talked about getting threats. She has nothing to gain by coming in.
Yeah, two other ex-members, they getting threats now by the other members of Nature Boy people.
He controlled whether or not she was going to give him what he wanted. And he's trying to control her now. Her voice. He doesn't want you all to believe her. He wants you to render her unworthy of belief. Do y'all remember in his interview how many times he said, oh, she's a prostitute? And so what if she was?
No means no.
Does not matter.
No means no.
He doesn't care about her consent. Because we know she left March 24th, March 25th. Those videos were posted days later. No means no. One time. One time.
It'll take those 2 or 3, 4, and 5 times to say no.
15 times. One time. No means no.
You take but one time to say no.
And as Mr. Coach
And you need to back up.
It's just huge in this case. If you find Ms. Newell submitted to sexual intercourse because of fear or intimidation, you can find it occurred without her consent. Sexual intercourse obtained through fear or intimidation is not consensual. Kendra Carter, she said something that was so powerful to me. She said it when she was finishing up on cross-examination. And she said, Mr. Booker asked her, weren't there some really good times? And she paused. Y'all remember that? She paused and she just broke down. And she said, I was never really happy. I wanted it to be good. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to reach humanity, to change the narrative, because Black people mattered.
That's what I was trying to say. She wanted to change your man.
She was
she wanted.
She change the narrative. Mr. Bishop.
She wanted some good out of there, and bad came out.
I'm a Black male. Y'all come live with me. Let's push out something that's different. But he became their worst
enemy.
He undid everything they were trying to do inside themselves. I thought that was so powerful. That's what Kendra wanted. That's what I think everybody wanted that joined this group. And he let them down. You want to know if he's guilty? I want you to listen to his words.
Now this part you need to listen to.
Bitches belong to me.
Go ahead, girl. Bring it home.
All of you bitches belong to the three. And I will have my way with you as I see.
He scary something. I don't even watch that video because it's a scary something.
How I want.
He a scary person. He look like Satan himself.
Into the abyss you go.
I don't think he missing is the horns.
And I will have my way with you as I see fit. When
he basically told on himself, Miss April.
I want.
He basically told on himself.
How I want.
She bringing it home, baby.
I'm going to take it anyway because I want it. How I want it. So even if
I want it,
even if it's not consensual, I'm going to take it. His words, not mine. If you want to know if he's guilty, look at his actions.
I'm not playing with you. She probably wants you to take that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how women get it. They want you to take it.
Why would a woman want to be raped?
Like, stop asking for pussy, man. Take that shit. But that's your woman, that's your pussy. Take it.
Take it.
Take it.
That's what
That's exactly what he said. Take it. Don't ask her for it. Take it.
March 24th, 2022. Stop asking for it. Take it. That's your woman. That's yours.
Take it.
His words, not mine. We are here because of his words and his actions. Mr. Bishop had a choice that day. He could have just let Janae go, let her leave the group, go on about her business. But he didn't. So your role is to determine what happened. This is your community. All of you live here in DeKalb County. Many of you worship here. You got
DeKalb County. DeKalb County.
And so you get to send a message.
Georgia.
That's what your verdict is. Your verdict is your voice. Your verdict is your message. And so what I'm asking you to do is go back there and hold Mr. Bishop accountable. I'm not asking you to say whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. That's not your job. That's not my job.
I'm going to go on here and play the verdict too.
His actions.
I ain't going to
I'm
even wait.
asking that you hold him accountable for what he did to Janae on March 24th, what he did to Janae by posting her videos on March 27th, 22. And I ask that you go back in that jury deliberation room and find Mr. Bishop guilty on all counts.
All 5 counts.
All right, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next step of the process is for me to give you what is called the jury charge, which is a law that applies to this case. And then after
I'm going to cut this off for now. I'm going to come back with the verdict because they finna deliberate. So I want to thank you, Miss April, for stopping by. I want to thank Miss Tamika for stopping by, and whoever watching and whoever gonna watch the replay, thank you for stopping by. I love each and every last one of y'all, and y'all have a blessed day.